Welcome back to part 3 of how to get started with 3 goblins in a trench coat, and for this video, as promised, I will be talking about combat. Now, as a role-playing game, combat is not necessarily an essential part of the game. You are fully free to run a mostly narrative and puzzle-based game. That's absolutely fine. It is very much up to what you and the players want to do. However, if we do get into a fight, you will need to know how to do that. So, to start with, we will be making speed checks to work out the order of actions. This works very much like the previous opposed test style, where you count your total number of successes instead of just pass or fail. So in this example, I have got 2 successes and potentially 1 shame, but we won't worry about that for now. So I would have a total speed of 2, meaning that I will have my character act before anyone with a speed of 1 and after anyone with a speed of 3 or higher. You always have a speed of 1, so you always get to act in some way. But if you only get failures, then you will be acting after everyone else who naturally has a speed of 1. Then to make your actions, we go over to our little characters over here who are having a bit of a fight. So let's say my character, who's pretending to be a dwarf, is going before the spooky undead guy. I get to make my attacks. So for this, we're back to regular style actions. So I have a melee skill of 1 for all of my goblins, so I'm still rolling 1 dice each. And to hit, it's a basic of 3+. So I have currently managed to hit. However, your target, if they have a dodge skill, do have a chance to move out of the way. So in this case, our ghost has a dodge value of 1. So for that, we roll 2 dice and then discard the lower one because it's not a goblin. In this case, though, I've rolled a 2 and a 3. I would discard the 2. The 3 is a failure, so the 4s happily hit. If this had been a success, it would have increased the difficulty to hit by 1. Now, obviously, 3 to 4 is still a success, but if I'd only rolled 3s, I would have then missed. Once I have hit, which in this case I did, they can now try and negate some of the damage with their armor value. In this case, the ghost has an armor value of 1 and a block value of 1, so I roll 2 dice in total, and I'm looking for 4s or better to negate some damage. Again, I have failed. If these were successes, we could potentially reduce the damage by 2. Instead, he would take 5 damage from the axe, hitting him in the face, and that would probably kill him. So good job, dwarf goblin guy. And that's the basics of combat. If you get into a slightly more prolonged fight, then you can find with some higher level characters that maybe they have a higher level of dodge, in which case they can try and dodge multiple times per round, but it gets progressively harder to do so the more attacks come your way. Other than that, the only thing you'd need to be careful of is your armor breaking over time. If you successfully block more than your total armor value, the armor value decreases by 1, although it saves you from that attack. It means the next time you're a little bit more vulnerable, and if your armor value reduces to 0, then it's broken. If you manage to survive and it's not broken, you can find someone to fix it for you later on in the game, and then things are back to normal. But yeah, that should cover the basics of combat and finish up this little mini-series of how to play. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on the social medias, message me on Kickstarter, or go through the Warstorm Games website, which is just www.warstormgames.com. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the game, and please do reach out if you want to talk about the game, have any questions. I am very happy to help and talk about it because it's fun. Yay. Thank you.